Hello, hello everyone. I guess many people have partied last night because it's not a full room, but I wanted to start by asking you who here in this room is a service provider of Odoo? Okay, cool, half of the room. So basically, that's a talk for you, service providers of Odoo. So the subject is how to outperform your competition with a people-first approach. Starting with the first slide saying that it is also a talk that is being sponsored by Silver Square, which is the largest network of co-working offices in Brussels and in Belgium, and that they have a stand and very good coffee and invite you to visit their stand. But basically, you are service providers, and one of the questions to you is techniques, it doesn't work. So one of the questions to you is basically how do you differentiate with your competitors? So I've seen that there's like 83 Odoo partners in Belgium, 88 in France, about 2,800 in the whole world. And one of the important points is how do you differentiate? How do you find clients? How do you make a difference? And very often, companies would say, oh, we're better in technology integration, or we're probably more efficient in terms of team organization, or we're very dynamic, or we're very competitive. And in the 70s, 80s, 90s, the focus on companies was very much on revenue, scale, innovation. And these are the arguments that are being used very often with service providers. But what about the people-first approach? How can the people-first approach help you totally outperform your competition? And this is a totally new subject. So it's a subject that I was very excited to bring at this conference, at the Odoo Experience Conference. And so I started by thinking, where can I find examples that have had all of it, innovation, revenue, scale, but also brand recognition, but didn't have the same people-first values that I will share to you. And in this case, these are three examples that I found. In the first one being Yahoo, that was one of the most prestigious company in the internet in the early days. The second one, a service provider when it comes to branding and communication, which was at the time one of the most prestigious agencies in the world. And the third one being a local brand in Belgium, which by far was the favorite bookshop retailer in Belgium. And in the three cases, because of their non-people-first approach, it has led to their downfall. In the first example, Yahoo articles speak about employee loss of morale, employees not being empowered to innovate, and it actually led to the company being integrated and sold to Verizon. In the second example, like in 2018, there were persecution and harassment cases being discovered. An organization was discovered to be very hierarchic, very poor in integration, in diversity, in allowing employees to lead and to thrive. And eventually, it led for the group to merge GWT with Wonderman, which then continuously merged again with another entity. So somehow it regained its clients and its prestige, but not to the level that it used to have in the past. And in the third example, one of the favorite bookshops in Brussels, somehow we discovered in 2022 a revolt of employees with reorganizations that seem to have failed, with some alleged crime. But even last week, this is why I took it as an example, I found articles in the press where employees are saying that they haven't been listened to, they haven't been heard, they haven't been put at the center, which may be one of the reasons for even a very strong brand to lead to its downfall. So what is actually a people-first approach? And to be honest, I had a lot of difficulties to put together these slides because it's very nicely said. It's good for service providers to be people first. It has a lot of benefits. It can certainly outperform your competition, but what is it actually? Instead of going through theories and models and academic studies, I've decided to tell you my story. So it's time for me to tell you who I am. So I'm Gabriel Goldberg. I'm Belgian. And I was very lucky to be the first employee of Google in Belgium. And so while being at Google, I looked at entrepreneurs out there, Fabian from Odoo or others, and I said, I also want to be an entrepreneur, and I also want to have an impact in my area, my environment, which is not the ERP space, but which is the digital marketing space. And so I decided to set up, to found with my associate Nicolas Debré, that you can see here on the picture, an agency which we called Semetis. Okay, we wanted it to have a brand name. And so our vision was a people-first vision from day one. Even there, where you can see an article in our early days. This is probably the first articles that we got, probably after existing 1 year. It was all about creating new jobs, creating new professions, training people. It was all about people-first approach. A little video to show you, let's say, that it has continued to evolve in a very people-first fashion. So this is a video that has been done while the new team has rebranded Semetis as a company. And in fact, the agency that I found was the picture on your left, which was just a small agency, my business partner and myself, our first employee. And this year, it has won recognition, awards from the industry worldwide, but also in Belgium. And so going from the left picture to the right picture in 15 years, and there's a major party being thrown next week, I'm quite excited about it, is not just a coincidence. It doesn't just happen overnight. Obviously, it happens with a right vision, with a right execution. But I believe that the people-first approach explains a lot about this progression. And I personally sold and integrated the agency into a larger group, which is called Omnicom Group, which is a public company floating on the New York Stock Exchange, which has branches a bit everywhere in the world. I made sure that Semetis as a company will stay independent in its culture, which is still the case today. The sale happened in 2015, but lasted with an earnout until 2019. In 2019, I left my operational duties and continued to accompany the management of the company, and I had my role in the board of directors. And only last year, I left the company and sold my minority shares to the group Omnicom. And I'm very lucky to have left at the moment where the agency has been recognized by the industry as the best agency on the market. I'm talking about a digital marketing agency. And also, I was very lucky, we didn't expect that, to have been recognized by the WARC as the most efficient agency in its way of doing digital campaigning. And why do I say that? It's because I believe that what brought the success to the agency is the people-first approach. And again, instead of writing theories about that, what I suggest to tell you are 10 takeaways. And 10 takeaways to explain you through examples and through concrete cases, what do I mean by a people-first approach? So if you have your phone and your picture, now is the time to take a picture. The kind of slide that I suggest you remember and that you bring back to your service provider. So let me go through all these points, which obviously is the essence of the talk. So the first one, and this is where everything starts, it's about hiring for potential, not just skills. And that was incredibly important for us from the beginning of our journey. So even when today the agency counts probably about 100 people, when we started just the two of us, my founder and myself, we spent a lot of time to start to think about what kind of employees are we looking for, what kind of values are we looking for, what kind of personality are we looking for, and basically where we will find these people and how we will organize the recruiting process. And even though in the beginning it was just my associate and I, we decided from the early age to involve the team members in deciding who will be their colleagues, which led to an interview process that was based in 3 rounds and which was based on senior employees interviewing new hire and new recruits. In the last 5 years, I didn't even interview people, or rarely interviewed, or just went to the last conclusion phase. Basically, as you can see also, it meant also for us to network with universities where we were looking for these employees. At Solvay Business School in this example, at Louvain Business School, or at ESAL Business School, or a picture of me and one of my colleagues. We were at an event. It's very early days, so it looks very amateur kind, but the principle is there. Or us organizing every year a recruitment event together with Google, because we were very close, and Semetis is still very close with Google. And in the beginning, about 80% of the audience came for Google and not for us. Where at some point it evolved and about 50% came for us, 50% for Google, which was a right and a distribution we were very proud of. The second point is to build a mission-driven culture. And that was extremely important from us from day one. So we were not just there to give services to our clients or to grow. We were there to have an impact on the market, to bring values. And if you look at our values that we described in just 3 words in the first 10 plus years, they're all about people. It's about being open, it's about sharing, and it's about knowledge, because we found out that learning every day makes us happy. And so again, like you've seen in the video, it's all about people. At no point do we say that we're better in campaigning or that we have better methodologies or better integration. It's all about people receiving the right autonomy and being leveraged to innovate and to thrive. And quality people, obviously, which makes a difference. And the team itself has evolved and has rethought about the new values for the next 10 years, and they came across growth, exploration, energy, and involvement. Again, all around people. The third point is about encouraging a psychological safety. And I must admit that this is a very tough one. And this one, we didn't succeed from day one. It was a wish from us to build such an environment, but it was extremely difficult for us, especially in a Belgian conservative society, to reach this point. So it took us probably 5, 6, 7 years to reach this point. But what we wanted to install from day one was an open communication. Nobody is there to judge nobody. It's about open communication, open feedback. Nobody has been fired because of their opinion. Absolutely not. People need to be very sensitive and open to share and to hear open communication. It means also transparent feedback. And how did we install this value? We did a lot of all hands, and I understand that at Odoo is the same kind of culture of all hands sessions, which are very important sessions to be able to let employees, to let staff be involved and ask any questions they want. And I must admit again, in the first 3 years at least, people didn't dare asking questions. So we probably collected questions anonymously beforehand. We tried new things. I asked myself questions that I thought were sensitive to the audience. And this point is especially important in a work-from-home culture. Because in a work-from-home culture, it's all about not policing employees, but it's about trusting them. And trusting them is about building such an environment. The fourth point is to empower employees with autonomy. So it's easily said, but how do we do that? In the left picture, we can see Julien, one of the employees, that at that time we were very focused on Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads. And so he wanted the team to also learn about Bing ads, which was the search engine from Microsoft. So he took the initiative to convince a bunch of people to go through training to pass the exams of the Bing ads. So he didn't ask anybody for permission. He just did it. And that's a very a sense of pride in the team. On the right hand, you can see that every year, this was just a trip after COVID, there was a trip abroad. This time, I think it was to Madrid or Barcelona. And in this trip, people go through sessions where they take part of the crucial decisions to shape the future and the strategy of the agency. And another example is that in this trip too, functions sit together to iterate about their roles and responsibilities and how it should evolve. So they have a critical decision and autonomy in deciding how they bring this forward. Investing in leadership and development is also a very important point. And there, in order to be able to do that, we encouraged a lot of public speaking. And one of the traditions that we've built was that public speaking was often done in pair. And in this example, Neda was presenting Chloe, and Chloe was presenting Neda, and they worked very hard in the preparation themselves in the ability to speak to an audience and to express themselves on technical stuff. The way we manage deadlines is also very focused on trust and individual and autonomy. For example, we asked people to set their own deadlines, but to make sure that they respect them. There was a very strong culture around deadlines. Deadlines was very important for us, but we said, if you want 1 more week, you want 2 more weeks, you decide, but you make sure that you do not come with excuses in terms of deadlines. And for us, that's part of building leadership. Leadership was also built at the core of the company, because today, the woman that you see on the right, she's 35 years old and she leads the company. It's a 100 million a year turnover company. So maybe in international terms, it's not a lot, but in Belgium terms, it's quite a lot. Obviously, most of it goes to Google, Facebook, Meta, etc. But it's still a medium-sized company with a lot of responsibility, and a lot of responsibility means a lot of leadership. And this is the same with all the people that you can see in the picture. Making learning and development a core value is number 6 element, and this was crucial to us. There's an onboarding process that has been built. So senior people train junior people. But on the other hand, there's a lot of internal conferences, there's a lot of all hands. In the picture, you can see Robert, which is preparing his slide to share to the team. Learning and development is part of the core of the company. And you can see here a class, you can see an onboarding session. There's a lot of that continuously ongoing in the company, and it's part of the essence of continuously learning and innovating. The next point is about focusing on the team and not just the individual. This is an obvious one. Every opportunity to party, every opportunity to spend time with the team, every opportunity to again come together and celebrate successes. And the 8th point is one that for me is the most important point. In fact, we hear a lot about diversity, inclusion, and these are very important values for me. But I always tell people that diversity and inclusion has for me no sense, no essence, if there's not a diversity of thought. So the reason why we're so different, it's also because we come from different backgrounds. But if we come from different backgrounds, probably we have different opinions. And so this is the basic and the essence that needs to be part of the core values of the company. And so in this example, you have the managing director that writes about Women's Day, and she says that she's lucky to not have to fight equality because she's been fortunate to work in an organization that does not tolerate it, and that Semetis is a place that you get promoted based solely on your skills. And how is this possible? It's possible thanks to the diversity of thought, which I believe is the essence of inclusion and diversity and inclusion, which again has no meaning if there is no tolerance around that. Investing in well-being is also an important part of being part of a people-first approach. An example here is we organized almost every month a lunch and learn session with alumni that came to talk, with experts in the industry that came to talk, with competitors sometimes, with even recruiting an HR specialist in order to manage their own career. And in this example, you have Yann-Emmanuel Deneve, which is a specialist in the economy of happiness. And so the theme about well-being being at the center. And so adapted perks, there's a lot of food culture in the company. Lots of massages were offered in the office, or yoga classes, or well-being sessions. Lots of sports sessions. An interesting point is that people worked very hard. So during summer and Christmas period, we installed a summer working hours, which encouraged the employees to leave the office at 4 o'clock, because still they were very hard working. And during the summer period, there was also a work from everywhere culture, which allowed employees to work from anywhere in the world. And lots of groups formed in order to rent Airbnbs, I don't know where, in Asia or in Portugal or in Spain, etc., etc. But the reality on this 9 point is that this is a tough one, because people were working very hard. And one of the main complaints for people leaving sometimes the company is that the balance between work-life was not good enough. And so this point has to be iterated at a continuous level. And last but not least point is, in many organizations, people leaving, they're not passing a good moment. They're saying, you're guilty, you're leaving. With us, it was just the opposite. When people were leaving, we even wrote a process around it. We thanked them for their work, and we made sure to include them in the alumni network. And the alumni network for us was very important. And so that was my last people first point, because it means also that building relationship with your alumni is as important than building relationship with your staff. And you will find out that at no point did I speak about clients. It was all about people first approach. And it's as Richard Branson says, that if colleagues are being treated well together, the client will automatically receive an excellent service. It's part of this culture that would allow, again, to let individuals thrive. And so coming back to you, I've taken all your logos participating in this event. So I hope that with this presentation, with these slides, I've convinced you to move away from just objective financial productivity, scaling, and innovation metrics, and encourage you to put the people at the center with a concrete people-first approach. And to finish, certain other companies have done the same and are being recognized also for their evolution and their work. And maybe a special word about Microsoft, which used to be a kind of, okay, a very innovative company, but not known as a people-first company. And with the new CEO that came along, he transformed this company in a much more people-first approach. And the value that he has built over the last 10 years is just impressive. And so, last but not least, you can take your take your telephone and again do a picture. And I'd love to connect with you. Answer all your Q&A. I won't have time here in live. I will be waiting outside. Anyone that has any Q&A, live or through LinkedIn, please connect. And again, thank you very much for being here.